I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
This is Snowman in the Morning, and it begins now.
He did what? Ole on smoke!
Hello, baby.
Woohoo! Are you kidding me?
Well, hello there. Good morning, good people. Snowman here on this Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning. We are presented by Cleaver Supplements, pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough. I'm going to do something special on this Thursday. One of my favorite guests that I love having on, and usually have him on Thursday, is a fellow by the name of Ted Hicks. He started the blog Late Night Parents, and he blew it up. And he talks about all kinds of things from a father's standpoint. And that's one of the biggest things that I love about him. And when he would do Thursdays with Ted with me, and I started him Tuesdays, then I moved him to Thursdays, and Thursdays became more comfortable. And like I mentioned at the top of the week, inconsistency killed the first version of Snowman in the Morning. So, what I'm going to do after the break is play an old episode of a conversation I had with Ted. And I think this is a Tuesday edition because one of the subjects we talk about, and it still goes on, it's happened to me and it's happened to plenty others, is cyberbullying. And it needs to come to a stop. So I want y'all to listen to this conversation that I had with Ted. It's a Tuesday edition, but I'm playing it on Thursday as today is Thursday. Hope y'all enjoy it. Ted Hicks will be back with me in 2 weeks' time, and we'll have our reserve spot on Thursdays. Some other folks that I'm going to bring back on a weekly basis, Mike Green to talk a little hockey. I got a few other people I have that I'm going to have on. You're going to hear some classic conversations. I think we're getting a good format down to bring you folks some great talk, some great sports talk, and to mix in a lot of life with it as we continue to rebuild the show, build it beyond its capacity, and build it to a 2-hour format where I know you folks will love. So let's take a break, and when we come back, the next voice you'll hear will be that of Ted Hicks talking about cyberbullying, and it was a wonderful conversation. And then I'll be back to wrap it up. This is the Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning, and I'm back in the deuce, y'all.
What is the IHSA?
For more than 100 years, the Illinois High School Association and member schools have provided opportunities for students to participate in interscholastic athletics and activities, which produce vital education benefits.
Did you know the IHSA offers statewide championship series in 14 sports for boys and girls and sponsors statewide championships in 7 non-athletic activities? Did you know the IHSA licenses more than 10,000 contest officials in 13 different sports and that more than 300,000 students participate in IHSA sports and activities every year? Did you know activity programs only account for 1 to 3% of the overall education budget in a school? Did you know the nation's first sportsmanship mascot was created by the IHSA in 1997 with the birth of Attitude? Did you know students who participate in activity programs tend to have higher grades, better attendance, lower dropout rates, and fewer discipline problems than students that don't participate? Did you know activity programs provide valuable lessons for practical life situations? Teamwork, self-discipline, time management, dealing with adversity, and communication skills?
Now that you know, get in the game. Be a fan and join the fun. Support your local high school programs.
This message has been brought to you by the IHSA. Challenge yourself.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Now what's that? I say, now what's that boy up to? Better check on it, Dad.
You're listening to Snowman in the Morning.
Ask a silly question, get a silly answer.
Man, oh man, rolling right along on this Tuesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. This portion is presented to you by Chicagoland Popcorn, open Monday through Saturday 10 to 8 and Sunday from 10 to 6. Give them a visit at 5470 East Lincoln Highway in Maryville, Indiana, or give them a call at 219-940-1140. You can also visit them at chicagolandpopcorn.com. Over 250 flavors. And this is August, and Snowman's flavor of the month from Chicagoland Popcorn. Y'all know I love pineapple, so that's my choice for the month. Pineapple popcorn, Snowman's flavor of the month. Visit chicagolandpopcorn.com and get your bushel of popcorn today. There is a subject I've wanted to talk about for a while. You heard me talk about it when I did my Purge episode, but I'm sick of cyberbullying, period. I am sick of it, and when the man I have on the hotline did his late night parents episode dedicated to this, I made contact and I said, I got to have you on to talk about this. Ted Hicks, the host of Late Night Parents, who rules the late nights here on Arena Sportsnet, is now on the hotline. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man, and I'm glad you hopped on with me for this subject because it's a negative trend that's going up, and that's cyberbullying. I've been a victim of it. I'm still a victim of it in so many ways, but so many people don't want to talk about it. I'll start there. Why do you think so many people don't want to come out about it?
It's tough. It's a tough topic because, you think about, what is it? How to stop it. You think about, cyberbullying all along. Think about facts behind it, the laws. But, just look at cyberbullying itself. It's rumors. It's gossip. It's lies. It's name calling. It's harassment. It's mean names. It's threats. I mean, it's all the above. And a lot of people think about bullying and it's primarily with children and all the above, but no, that's not the case. Bullying can happen anywhere. So I mean, you're looking at bullying versus cyberbullying, and like I said, I've done talks out here in Long Island with some of the youth to say, okay, you kind of ask that question: Have you ever bullied someone online? Because most kids will know what bullying is. But then you'll say, have you ever cyberbullied? And they have no idea. And when you say, sharing pictures, sharing or posting videos, pictures on social media of a person in a cruel way or with a cruel intention that might, involve violence, or sharing pictures or photos in social media or via text that are sexual in nature and display violent behavior, sexual violent behavior. I mean, it's just overall making threats and physical harm towards people. It's attacking a person online. And we see that every day with all these, everyone who has Twitter fingers nowadays and people online, you name the social media tool that people use. I mean, Facebook alone, close to 1.3 billion people. Twitter itself, maybe 350 million people. And guess what? Everyone's not saying something nice. Most of the time, someone's saying something that's kind of hurtful. And people themselves, maybe they're not quick enough, or they don't understand, or they're ashamed that they've been cyberbullied. You got to think about it. Think about any time you're doing something positive Brian, and you get that negative comment. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. Oh, your skin is too dark. Oh, you know, I mean, we can go there. We can go there.
Let's go there.
Because that's what we're dealing with nowadays. You're dealing with hurtful, hateful people that are out there making these type of comments. And you got to just know if you are being bullied, or better yet, if a loved one or a child or you know, a son, a daughter, or a niece or nephew is being cyberbullied, you need to know what to do. You need to know some of the characteristics behind it, how to identify it. And the one thing that we don't like to talk about is, what if your child, what if your nephew or your favorite niece is actually doing the cyberbullying? So it's really, really important to understand, after you understand what is cyberbullying, once you understand that like 92% of teens reported going online at least once a day, and 24% stating that they are online constantly. You know, that amount of potential exposure to cyberbullying is high. What kid that's 15 years old, or maybe younger, in most cases younger, doesn't have a cell phone in their hands? Doesn't have, and along with that, you know, I said to the youth before, and to their parents, the minute you give them that mobile phone, you just gave them access, full, unblown access to the internet and all the various applications that are out there. So it's like you got to be smart with this type of stuff. You got to be smart to know some of the signs if if your child is doing something. If your child is doing something, if they are being bullied, all of the above.
I mentioned on Monday's show about a comment I got from a person that has been harassing and cyberbullying me for years. I've had so many of my friends ask me, why don't you take him to court? Why don't you take him to jail? My reasoning is simple. My dad's spirit has been inside of me since this whole ordeal started. And my dad kept telling me, take care of home first, then go after him. It would be of no use to me if I'm not stabilized at home first. Dad taught me that. My grandpa taught me that. But believe me, I've been stacking up the evidence. And I got a lot of evidence against this guy. So when the police do come and cuff him and my lawyer does slap him with a lawsuit, I will be prepared. But the text that he sent to me last week, for lack of a better term, royally pissed me off. Anyone who knows me knows one of the biggest reasons I hustle as hard as I do is the memory of my daughter. This sumbitch had the nerve to text me and say, and I quote as I'm reading this off of my screen, Donna is alive. She just doesn't want you coming around asking her for money, and the family doesn't want you to see her. Close quote. Even though I'm looking at my daughter's obituary and it's hanging here in my office. He sent that to me, and what he fails to realize is that just upped the ante on everything. I saved all of his messages that he sends to me. He's got the unmitigated gall, and this goes back to a point that you made earlier about people having the nerve to do it. And I heard part of that on your show. People just have the unmitigated gall to say something not knowing what the reaction or the result of that would be.
True. So true. I got to tell you, Brian, the fact you're ahead of the game, because I was going to say, you got to keep a record the cyberbullying in case you decide to report it to the authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the proof of cyberbullying directly on your phone or your computer, it's day and night. It's so easy to prove that you're being threatened and attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but, you got to report some of this offensive posts to the specific, social media company or to the phone providers, the telecom providers. There's ways of blocking people. Yes, we're in a day and age of Google Voice, and I could drum up 5 ghost phone numbers in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
But you got to stay ahead. You got to stay ahead of this because, who wants to deal with something like that? And just as you said before, they're not saying, they're saying it's beyond hurtful. It's beyond hurtful because you're talking about someone, a child that's no longer here, a loved one, and, it's to a point where people, you speak with any adult, and the first thing they'll say is burying their child is the worst thing they could have ever gone through in life.
Man, is that the truth?
Just having to deal with something like that. So it's like you got to report this offensive behavior. Think about it. Social media sites like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter have made it easy to report posts that are inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Getting people suspended from this, from using these types of tools. And like I said, and if they're making threats, you report them to the authorities.
Yep.
Because that digital imprint says it all.
Here is something no one will touch except us. I talked about this before when I did my Purge episode in June. What if it happens to a man? I'm going there. I'm going there because I'm a victim of it. I've been harassed and bullied, not to mention stabbed in the back by people I thought I trusted, and then they used text messaging and whatever messaging to try to drive their point home. I mentioned, and I'll continue to mention, that last year I was in a very abusive relationship, verbally, emotionally, and on a couple of occasions it turned physical. And all of my friends asked me, why didn't you report this to the cops? Come on now.
Yeah, it's tough. Brian, it's tough. When you turn the tables around, I have a friend who lives down south who was in it sounds similar, equally abusive relationship where his wife was, you get to it. She's throwing pots, she's throwing pans at him. She's you name it, verbally abusive to him. And I had a conversation. Unfortunately, I had to have a conversation with her because she was, blaming him for this, that. And she was telling me, she said, Ted, I'm in she was trying to sell to me. She was trying to sell to me that she was in the abusive relationship.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was trying to sell to me. And I said to her, if it's so abusive, why are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you still there when your family is 5 minutes away?
This is what a lot of people didn't understand with my situation. When people try to tell you how they would react to your situation, there is a problem. Because they're not in it. They're not going through it. They're not walking in your shoes. And what's worse, they're refusing to help you.
Right.
Men get laughed, men in abusive relationships, men that have been victims of cyberbullying. And trust me, people, I did a lot of research on this subject, not just from personal experience, but I know guys that have gone through it. Men are more victims of cyberbullying more now than ever. No one wants to talk about it. And in some ways, because I've been there, because I've been there. Some men don't want to talk about it for two reasons. And I know both of these reasons very well because I went through it a year ago.
Okay.
The first one, fear of being laughed at and made fun of by people that you trust. Secondly, fear of nobody in authority believing your story. Period.
True. That's true. You're dead on because it's a really tough situation. It's really tough because when you do, I think I go back to my buddy who he called the cops. He called law enforcement to get involved, and the first response he received was, they kind of gave him the side eye.
Yeah.
Because he's calling on someone that's, 5'4" and 130 pounds.
Exactly.
And they're looking at him and like, this is totally in reverse. Where they're like telling him, man up.
Yep. That's what I got told by my family.
And I can relate to this, Brian, because I've heard this. And like I said, my one of my good friends, he's told me about this for the last year of his life, where it was just an abusive, unproductive, unhealthy, stressful, disruptive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, he finally left. And guess what his prize is for leaving? Child support. I said,
wow.
I said to him, democracy in action. He's like, Ted, I am now paying $2,200 a month in child support. And I said, because you were in an abusive relationship. He's like, yes.
That is just awful. It's awful that a man leaves an abusive relationship where he is the one being victimized.
Right.
Let me say that again, ladies and gentlemen. A man leaves a relationship where he is the one being victimized. And he ends up being the one that pays for it dearly. Either financially, emotionally, or in some cases, as I found out, with his life.
Right. So that's the situation. Well, that's just one example where now the situation has spiraled.
Mm-hmm.
The situation, where he was being bullied, because I know initially we started talking about cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about bullying and or being in an unhealthy relationship where he has to fight to see his kids now.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about this, folks. Keep this in mind. We're talking about this from a man's standpoint, from being cyberbullied to being bullied to being abused. And there are so many people that say, oh, men can't be abused. Oh, yeah? You're talking to one that has been. People don't realize, and I will tell my story again. People don't realize how bad of a relationship I was in last year. And mind you, folks, coming off a relationship that was prematurely ended by a family that was so stupid and so idiotic and didn't want to see people together raising their child. Okay?
That's deep.
This was Donna's mom. This was Donna's mother, Liz. I've spoken about her so many times. I've told this story so many times, but you know what? I know there are other men out there. If y'all are within earshot of this, give me a tweet at arenasportsnet.com and let me know your story. I'll tell it on the air this month. But there are so many people like me and like your buddy that have been through a horrible relationship and in some cases has had it prematurely ended. Very prematurely ended because the people involved are so stupid. Will I ever see Liz again? No. But at the same time, I'm telling this story because I know there are men that have gone through it. And let us be one of the first two to fight for the men that have been through this, because it's wrong.
It is wrong. It is wrong. Hey, there's two pieces that I do want to talk about with cyberbullying. If your child is a cyberbully, and that's where, because you got to remember, as an adult, as a parent, that flag is going to go up. Those antennas go up.
Oh yeah.
Because your child may be a cyberbully because they were at one time bullied, either in person or over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, as a parent, you got to talk to them about what they're doing and how they're hurting other people, and make sure that they understand the severity of the action. You got to talk to them about why they are doing what they are doing, and listen to them. Don't react out of anger.
No.
So many of us parents react out of anger. We grab that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for those that are, I'll put it out there, when I was growing up, when you heard about the story about Adrian Peterson about a year ago, 2 years ago, and he was talking about the switch.
Yep.
I used to have to deal with the switch. So that was normal.
Yeah.
Back then. It's like nowadays, you put your hands on your child and CPS
is in your face.
But you gotta monitor your children's online and phone behavior and make sure that they are not continuing this type of behavior.
Absolutely.
If the problem persists and it does not seem like an isolated incident, you might have to involve school authorities in order to show your child that this is a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to seek professional counseling to help the child overcome their problem. It's just so key, and you just got to remember, in preventing cyberbullying from happening, what do? This is going to sound outdated. You got to keep that family computer in a public area, but who doesn't have tablets or mobile phones or Chromebooks? So that's kind of outdated, but you got to encourage offline time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Try to have everyone disconnect for an extended period of time every evening. This can include having family dinner or practicing some shared hobbies together.
Oh, yeah.
You got to keep that open conversation about bullying and cyberbullying going. Discuss why it's wrong and what your child should do if they see it. You got to make sure that child knows how to maintain their digital reputation and knows how to share their personal information that they wouldn't want made public with anyone. The minutes, and I hate to go there.
Go there.
But what did we see on Sunday? What we saw on Sunday was Draymond Green. And Draymond Green on Snapchat thought he was sending a private message of a private part, his junk, as some people might refer to it. And he sent it out. It was a public Snapchat message. And after he noticed it, he tried to hit delete, but guess what? Everyone was screen capturing it.
Yep.
You got to think about what you're doing. Think about what you're sharing out there. So, it's great to talk about everything and share every part of your life on Facebook. But then you have to be smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. You really need to be smart about this stuff. It's kind of like thinking about, Ryan, hey, I'm going to San Juan. My family and I are going to San Juan, and we won't be back for 2 weeks. And you tell the world, and guess what? Everyone knows where you live.
Yep.
And then you come back, and your house is robbed or vandalized. Someone ate, you could see someone ate your turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
Or, you sit here and you look at this, and you're just like, oh, my goodness, you got to just be careful.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we tell the youth, we tell the adults,
mm-hmm.
because it's important it's important because nowadays parents have to be tech savvy. They've got to be tech savvy to watch after their kids. And they should be tech savvy to watch after themselves, because look at it. Look at how many people that stars, celebrities that we hold so high up, and they're being trolled all the time on social media. You got to think about it. That's a form of cyberbullying.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so we got to be smart. Brian, you got to keep those examples of you being cyberbullied, and when you're ready to report it to the authorities and or to the providers, you know, you got to do it. You got to do it, because only after so long, after so many times, a person can only take so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you gotta hold it together, brother, and you know, only you know how much you can take. You know how much you can deal with. So I'm just gonna leave it there, but that's cyberbullying in a nutshell. And you know, and the game just continues to change all the time. It's with this now. What is the next thing going to be? You know, I mean, we've seen all different types of shaming happening, but it's just under a different term. People are not saying cyberbullying, but they're saying shaming.
You know what? No one except us wants to say it's cyberbullying. They don't want to use the word shaming and try to take some of the hurt out of the context. You know something?
Yes.
My favorite comedian is George Carlin. And George Carlin did a piece about when shell shock slowly, what is the word I'm looking for? It slowly dropped into being post-traumatic stress disorder. I will never forget that piece when he talked about when it was shell shock and people who went through shell shock, going through wars, going through battle. And I'll never forget that he said this, and I quote, "I'll bet you if they had still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time." Close quote.
Preach on it. You got to preach on it. You said it. Not enough people are talking about it. People are like you said, we want to make it something lighter. We want to make it something lesser.
They want to make it soft.
That is PC.
That they want to make. We're in too much of a PC world to say what things truly are. Call it what it is. It's cyberbullying. It's bullying in the 21st century, period.
Yep.
It's bullying in the 21st century. People don't want to call it such. They want to call it shaming. They want to call it anything except what it is, which is bullying. It happens to kids. It happens more to adults. And anybody who has been a victim of it is so afraid to talk about it because there are very few people that are bold enough to speak on it, especially with those that have been through it. Period.
Right. You're right. I mean, it's a serious topic.
Yeah, it is.
It's a serious topic, and that we try on Late Night Parents. We try to talk about it, whether it's through a podcast or whether it's through print, online media, any which way, through a tweet, a social media post, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Or when we talk about it on the Saturday AM radio show, we talk about it because it's something that's serious and it's something that's not going away. It's so easy for me to sit here and do a weekly show and talk about all the bubblegum stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the teacher of the week. Here's the new tech, device that everyone is clamoring for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the latest stat
mm-hmm.
With your favorite sports team. But it's those topics that come down that really, really, really matter.
This is one of
because
them.
It affects you, it affects your family. It just affects everything about you. You think about it. Think about your demeanor when you go online and, you know, you're yucking it up with people and we're talking about LeBron James and Kevin Durant versus when you go online and you see that hurtful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two different appearances, two different situations. What's going to stick with you? The story about Draymond Green, or someone just badgering you online and saying hurtful and mean things?
And what hurts a lot of people is not having that outlet. I said it a couple of times on this show, and people have agreed. What happens when social media ain't so social?
I think we're in that day and age now. I think we broached that topic. I think
we have.
I think we're there. Ding, ding, ding.
Big time ding. And what's so sad, and I'll say it again, is when that mode of communication, when social media is not so social. That's the best way I can put it. That is the absolute best way that I can put it. And again, we touched on this earlier in this conversation, and it is a wonderful conversation. We touched on this earlier in the conversation, and what a lot of people need to realize, does it happen to men? You better doggone believe it.
So true.
But because men, and let me use the other side of this coin. Because society has conditioned men to be internal, we get in more trouble when we have taken all that we can take and it becomes external.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. We as men, and I'm going to go one step further. Can I go one step further? Let me try this. We as black men are so conditioned to be internal with our emotions, because that's what our dad taught us, and I love my dad dearly. But if there's one thing my dad did teach me before he passed on, never hold on to those emotions. If you gotta let them out, let them out. A lot of men have been so conditioned, especially lately, to be so internal. How did you put it earlier? If you go to the police, what are they going to tell you? They're going to laugh in your face and tell you to man up. They're going to laugh in your face and tell you to man up, and you're going, how the hell can I man up when I'm getting scratches all over me? Because if I man up and respond the way that you and the person abusing me want to respond, you two get the final laugh and the final say, because I'm the one that winds up in handcuffs because I responded. I didn't instigate. I didn't start it, but I was forced to respond. And when a man is forced to respond, I'm going there. Let me say that again. When a man is forced to respond, he should not be responsible for his actions because they were forced out of him. Period.
Brian, that's a tough topic right there. That's a tough statement because there's a double standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is.
There's a double standard because what do we see? Let's take two situations. Two situations that involved people inside of elevators that had video cameras in them.
Last name Rice.
We had the Ray Rice situation,
mm-hmm.
and then you had the Jay-Z and Beyonce sister situation.
Yep.
Those are two situations, two conversations we don't know about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But what we saw visually, we saw one where the male was the aggressor,
mm-hmm.
and we saw the second hand. We saw the male kind of hold his composure.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this environment where we're forced I mean, and I'm sorry to say, all hell could be breaking loose. We have to hold our composure.
Yes.
We have to. Because if not, then that's a game changer. Because then you get labeled.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta be careful with what we do and with our emotions and why we have to express our emotions as men.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, and you lash out, it takes one time. And then the next thing you know, clink, clink, and you're sitting there and your mugshot is everywhere and, you go to the Bureau of Prisons website and
you're there.
There's your story.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, as men, as black men, as
men,
with what we have to deal with every day. As a man, yes. As a black man, yes. Too bad it can't be. We can just say as a man.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two different situations that we have to do. That we have to uphold. We have to be at the top of our game.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be ahead of the situation, every situation. As a man, as a black man, you got to be able to say, and this is going a little bit off topic, but
go for it.
You're hanging out and you're having a social drink. You're going to have that one social drink, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you get pulled over, and the alcohol in your blood level is measured, and it's above that 0.08. You know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So we just as men, I'll just say this much, as men, because the discussion on race nowadays, it's great to have this discussion.
Yeah,
it's great because now people can see. But as a man, you've got to be able to, it sounds cliche. You got to turn the other cheek if you're in that abusive relationship, or you've got to be ahead of the game to say, you know what, this is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to pull myself out of it.
Yeah, you got to get the hell out.
You got to get out.
You got to
get out, and that's it's like I said, it's a double standard.
It is a double standard. But why do you think it's such a double standard though? Especially, let me go two different places with this, and then we'll close out.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it's a double standard with men, and why do you think it's a triple standard with black men? Let's try that.
Because you hear comments, okay, it's a double standard for men because a man shouldn't hit on a woman,
mm-hmm.
unless you're watching the WWE, and it's entertainment. Okay. The other thing that you were talking about, the triple standard, is because some folks, it's been written, it's the comments, the things that we see on video nowadays,
mm-hmm.
is something, because justifiably they're scared because you're violent.
Mm-hmm.
You're known to be violent.
Mm-hmm.
You're known to be a beast or an animal or anything else like that. And it's sad where you see some of these perspectives of people. And that's the reason why that a different standard exists out there, because of some of these people in their existing positions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it is.
It's tough. It's tough because, you know what, Brian, I'll be the first one to tell you. So I've been in information technology and the information technology field for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
At 45, I'm almost at the point where I'm very close to half of my life I've been in IT. And IT is a great, great, great field. And I would tell anyone to get into that field. Why? I'm not going to say racism doesn't exist, because it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a field where if you have the knowledge and the know-how to deal with your industry, to deal with the technology field, that it bleeds across every industry, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What you know is what you know, all right? But also along with that, I've had the ability to work with people, outside of my race. I've had the ability to work with people, and maybe if I was in a different industry, I might not have had this exposure to working with different people and getting to speak with them and work with them and know them on a certain level. And these are, vice presidents and partners and all the above, to get their understanding of, wow, Ted, you're great, you're different. And you hear stuff like that, and your antennas go up when you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You're great, you're this, you're that. But there's an undertone that exists. Why am I great?
Mm-hmm.
How am I different? What were you expecting? So the race piece is always a part of it. The fact of the matter is, you do have to work 2 and 3 and 10 times as hard, and it's just expected out of us. It's one of those unwritten rules where you have to work hard.
Yeah,
you have to, and it's this. I don't want anyone that hears this conversation to think otherwise, that it's racially charged. No, it's not racially charged. But I can tell you, if you had any idea what I had to do to get to where I am today,
mm-hmm.
You guys sit there and you go through this stuff, and you're fighting, and you're charging along little by little, and you're doing things organically to the point where you kind of just take a step back from time to time. You have that out-of-body experience and say, okay, I'm dealing with this person, that person, because it's based on your good work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna rein it back in, because you got people. People don't take the time to know people nowadays. It's just, hey, I'm going to interact with this person for a split second, and then I'm out, and then I'm just going to make. This is what I think of this person.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even take the 2 minutes of interacting with the person to even know what they are, who they are, whether or not they can get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really tough time out here. I just want people, the black men, to be smart. I want them to take the time out, because guess what? It's election season.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And I just want to pivot here for a second, because the pivot is, when you go, in 100 days, you're going to have an opportunity of a lifetime to speak. Okay? Right now, you say, oh, our voices aren't heard. We need Black Lives Matter, or we need this group, or we need this empowerment group. Yes, that might be true. But you get to, your voice is heard in less than 100 days. When you walk into that booth and you cast that ballot,
mm-hmm.
there's nothing. And I'm going to tell you, Brian, if you don't vote, then shut up. That's what I would like to express to the listeners. If you do not vote, then you need to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And as a black man, the power that you have is not allowing someone, to walk up into your church every 4 years to say, hey, vote for me.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at these candidates, looking at whether it's a local race or, the presidential race, and to say, look at my values, look at their values, what makes sense?
Yeah.
I just wanted to pivot back because as a black man, that's what I'm teaching my kids. Look at your values. And you think we didn't sit down and watch the RNC and the DNC? Because I wanted my kids to see it. I wanted my kids to see it so I can talk with them about it. And guess what? We put down the laptops and the iPads and the mobile phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what it's really about. It really comes back to, I'm going to bring it back to with cyberbullying and with many of the topics we talked about. You've got to sit down and talk with your kids. You've got to have this family time. You've got to be able to explain certain things to them. We're in an age right now where digital parenting is happening.
Oh yeah.
Before you would sit your kid in front of the TV. Now you're sitting them in front of the Xbox, and they're on YouTube, and it's not like they're on YouTube for education.
Right.
You know, they're watching all this crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't tech savvy, you have no idea what they're watching. So
and soaking in, and the information they're soaking in,
and it's making an impression on them,
big time.
And then when a certain situation happens, you know, or whatever happens in the future, you're just like, well, I did my best. Did you really? Did you really
try? Here's a question. Did you really try to do your best?
So it's so important nowadays to have that open communication, whether it's with the kids, with your loved ones, if someone is hurting, someone needs to confide in someone. Okay? Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to confide in someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just put it there that this was more of an engaging conversation than I expected on a Tuesday morning. Want to definitely thank you for allowing me to come into, I'll put it this way. Thank you for allowing me to come onto your show and to your pulpit to talk about, some of the stuff that we talk about on Late Night Parents, because, like I said, we talk sports, we talk technology, we talk education, we talk parenting.
Yeah.
We
gotta talk parenting.
About products, and guess what? I think all the items, the categories that we talk about, we discussed on your show this morning. So
let's make this a week.
For you, let's make this platform.
Let's make this a weekly habit then. Let's bring part of it to every Tuesday morning.
You got it. And whenever you need me to talk about a specific topic, and if I can provide subject matter on it, and if I can't, I'll get you the person that can provide subject matter on it.
That works.
It's to a point where if we can enlighten some of the listeners out there in the ASN world, then it's great. I mean, and I'm just happy. There's a lot of Late Night Parents airs on a lot of stations, but I'm happy to air on yours. I'm happy and I'm pleased to be a part of this network.
Monday through Friday, 12 midnight Eastern, Late Night Parents with this man, Ted Hicks, joining me here on the hotline on this Tuesday morning. A very wonderful conversation. If you want to hear a replay of this, go to arenasportsnet.com/SITM and Tuesdays with Ted. We're just going to make that happen. Thanks a lot, my friend. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Snowman in the morning, back in the flash.
Parents, if you have children in high school, you may know firsthand that today's teens spend more time with the computer, TV, and video games than on any other activity except sleeping. The Illinois High School Association is the antidote to video games. IHSA sponsors 35 activities, from basketball and football to music, drama, and journalism. They enrich kids' high school experience. They engage kids' brains and their bodies and teach the value of teamwork and good sportsmanship. Encourage your kids to get involved. Go to www.ihsa.org.
What are all the things you witness online in a day? Cats playing piano, selfies on your feed, your friend's picture being turned into a nasty meme that's been shared 50 times, 51, 52. When someone's being bullied online, it's hard to know what to do. Now you can speak up with the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, you folks enjoy that? I certainly did. Thank you to Ted Hicks. I will have him on within a couple of weeks, and we're going to put it on Thursdays. We're going to have our Thursday set. We got some more guests that we are lining up for you as we are getting everything together. But before I conclude, I made some friends a promise. They are in Seattle. And I first discovered these guys when they were deep frying some of my favorite Hostess treats. That's how my, this is the best, addiction to watching their videos on YouTube started. These guys are known as Cult Moo. There are 3 members right now, actually 4. One of them is a pet. There's Air Pink, there's Senor Huero, and Lofi Molasses. And of course, for those of you who watch their videos religiously like I do, you know they moved into a new place, and Mog has become their newest member, their pet dog, beautiful little dog. But I just wanted to send a shout out to those guys because when I commented on some of their videos, they asked for shout outs, and I asked for one, and every time I have asked, they have delivered. So I am returning the favor, and this is going to be the first of many that I'm going to throw to them. Which leads to my spoken word, and it goes a little something like this. You got friends that have been behind you, honor them by sticking behind them. That's my spoken word for today, and that'll put a wrap on this Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Friday, we will talk about Game 5 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, a preview of the Stanley Cup Finals, preview of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Playoffs? Don't know about playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? Sorry, bad Jim Moore impression. But more stuff on the Potluck Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning. We hope you enjoyed this first week back. I certainly have. Have a great day, folks. God bless. And remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. Until the Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning, I am here to say, Snowman out.